Okay, checking now if my audio is here. Sorry guys, my audio doesn't always work properly. Checking. Sorry, I think someone has to before I start. I think someone always has to remind me that I have to fix my audio on my StreamYard. Give me an exclamation mark. Are you guys hearing me now, loud and clear? Okay, there you go. Thank you. As usual, give me some exclamation marks. Give me some energy. Just want to check everyone in the room. So everyone on Facebook and LinkedIn is telling me there is no sound. John, Kim, Brian, Richard, thank you for reminding me. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. I always don't have my microphone attached. That's why. And this is the reason why I don't often. So I use this one for my TikTok live, but I have to use this one for my Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So sorry, I keep on forgetting that. That's why there's no audio. Okay, guys, I'm only going to be spending 30 minutes for today's live session. So I'd like you to just hit it off, throw everything, vomit all your questions. We're going to answer them as quickly as I can. It's also a training session for me because I'm trying to train how to answer something concisely without beating around the bush. Okay? I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Start typing your questions. Looking also at the chat box. Okay, let me start. How do you call this? Answering this now. This question is from TikTok from Tina Estrella. Question is, what do I do if my boss doesn't appreciate my suggestions and my ideas? He is just after the numbers. Okay, not related to business writing, but I think it's all about being able to speak up. Before you approach your manager, which is going to be my suggestion, have you ever reflected what could be the reason why? Is it because perhaps in the past, most of your suggestions do not work out well? Maybe they're not as good as the expectation. And so it trained your boss to think that the next time around, what's the point of listening to your ideas? And that's a bad boss. But unfortunately, there are a lot of bosses who are like that. So identify what those things are. If you're able to identify what could be the reason, try to change the way you suggest. Your choice of words will matter. So for example, I'd say something in the middle of a conversation. Boss, may I just interrupt for a bit? I think this idea is going to help our project increase our sales. May I suggest X, Y, and Z? Sometimes labeling the way you suggest, putting a prompt before you suggest will make your manager listen. Okay? This is just me, and maybe because I can pull it off. If my manager just dismisses me off the bat, I will say, wait a minute, I do appreciate if you can listen to me as well, boss, because we're here as a team. And I'm here because I'm passionate to contribute for this project, X, Y, and Z. I'd say something like that. Some people might find that too abrasive. Some people might think that that is challenging authority. But my philosophy as well is that if you don't challenge your boss now, until when are you going to let that happen? And the worst case scenario is it's not like you're going to get fired. This is all about being on the same boat. We're on the same team. I am challenging and I'm adding ideas, not because I think mine is better, but because we want the project to succeed. I want you, boss, to also succeed here as a team. Okay? I hope I was able to answer your question. Here's another one from Facebook. This is from Russ Manalang. Question of Russ is, how can I use visual aids such as charts, graphs, and diagrams to enhance the impact of my writing? Okay, most of the time, we're talking about emails, by the way, okay? Most of the time, I would cut and paste the actual graph and the actual visual onto that email interface, whether it's Gmail or Outlook. I do, however, know that some people's smartphones and laptops do not display it correctly. So what I will do is I will cut and paste it on the interface, but I will also attach a separate file. Here's tip number 2. When I also send an email to people with attachments involving spreadsheets or PowerPoints, I will also send it separately into instant messaging. So I will send it separately on WhatsApp or Viber and say, hi, Tina, I have sent this also to your email. But for your convenience, I'm also attaching it here on Viber. And that is very important because you're implicitly telling the person, I want you to be conveniently able to access it regardless if it's mobile or desktop. It's also an implicit way of making sure that this person will not make an excuse that the email went into your spam, because a lot of them have that tendency. They will pretend that they were not able to open, right, your email. So I would usually send it also on instant messenger. This way they don't have an excuse. The instant messenger even has a screenshot of the timestamp that has my email, so that they know that if they're going back to their inbox, they have an idea where that email should be found. Okay, Ross, I also want to remind you, it's only important to put a visual aid if the concept is so complex that it cannot be explained easily by words. So the point I'm trying to make here is, just because there's a beautiful graph doesn't mean that you have to include the graph. Sometimes it muddles the conversation. Sometimes it just adds, it doesn't help the email to be loaded properly because it adds up to the weight. And therefore, the person can't even open the email properly also. Okay? I hope that's able to answer your question. Okay, here's one more from TikTok. How do you deal with a slow worker, someone who does not hit their daily target? Okay, when you give feedback to someone, that's a question, by the way, from Ses from TikTok. How do you deal with someone who is slow and does not hit their daily target? The tendency of a manager when they give feedback is to tell their people, alam mo, ang bagal-bagal mo. You know, you're so slow. And sometimes they're not intelligent enough that when they are told that they are slow, at the back of their head, they will just say, noted. Or they will just say, oo nga po eh. Yeah, I feel bad. I'm kind of slow. So sometimes, if you happen to be the manager, take the extra effort, and sometimes spoon feeding might be needed. So don't just say you're so slow. Say, we need to speed up. And may I suggest that in order to speed up, can you do X, Y, and Z? Can you try out A, B, and C? So don't just call out the person, mentor the person afterwards. And please take note that leaders have that responsibility. Okay? If someone is underperforming, if someone is not hitting their target, we have to let go of that mindset that because you are being paid with a salary for this specific job, you have to figure out things on your own. As a leader and as a manager, we take it as a responsibility to mentor them. And if they make a mistake, we forgive them 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And then we tell them that there is a deadline, that at a certain point, the mistakes have to be minimized. That's part of the coaching plan. Okay? I wish I have more time, but that's an entirely different module to talk about. Okay? Nikki from LinkedIn, let's answer this question, is asking, my client wants to directly hire me. How would I ask for a better compensation package that fits within my goals and lifestyle? Okay. Nikki, have you first asked what exactly is the compensation package that's being offered to you? Okay. Because usually there is a budget that a company sets for this specific position. So from an etiquette point of view, you let them first indicate what the budget of the company is. Let them be the one to give a number. I want to highlight this, by the way. When negotiating for a salary during a job interview, don't be the first one to give the salary, because the moment you give a number, that usually becomes the anchor and the baseline of the conversation. What happens if your salary is lower than their budget? This company is going to be happy to give in to your request or to use you as a baseline, which is already lower. So let them be the one to give the number first. And then after they've given a number, that's when you can say if you want it to be higher or if you're okay with it. Okay? The thing is, Nikki, you do not tell a recruiter that you're asking for a salary because you're renting a new condo. It's not because you want to go to Boracay or Palawan every quarter. You don't say these things during a job interview. It's none of their business to find out what exactly is your lifestyle. So when you're negotiating for a salary, always aim, okay, I want to highlight, always aim for the merit and objective reasons. So I think I'm bringing in, as a new employee to your company, a fresher set of perspectives, or I'm coming from a multinational company. Let me just manage my TikTok because it froze for a bit, right? Or let's say you're from a multinational company and you're transferring to a local company. You can tell the local company, in my multinational organization, we have learned a lot of frameworks, we have learned a lot of concepts and best practices outside the Philippines. I'm bringing in that wealth of knowledge to this new company. And I think I deserve this amount. Okay, that's another way to negotiate. Remember, you're not just transferring with the same amount of salary as you wish, as you would. You're transferring because you're adding a new set of skills, a new set of people, a new set of networks. Okay? Ooh, Kimberly is asking this from Facebook. How long should we reply to an email from a client? Is there a specific timeline? My answer here would always be a classic. The earlier you send an email, the better, because you send a message to the client. You imply that I want this to get done. I am serious about partnering up with you. So the faster you do it, the better. However, I understand you may not be able to answer it to it immediately. My recommendation is, if it will take you 2 days or 3 days to think about your response or to gather information from other people, reply immediately and say, noted on your questions, noted on your concerns. Could you please give me time to respond and regroup first with my team? I'll get back to you in 2 to 3 days. This way, you manage their expectation that if you do not respond immediately, they are aware that it's because you're looking for responses, for answers from other people. Okay? Sometimes you don't need to do that, by the way. If you're responding a day later, I think 2 days later, my personal experience and my preference would be the maximum amount. 2 days is good. 3 days, it seems like you're ignoring the email or you're implying to the other party that you got other things to do. They're not as important versus your other priorities. Okay? Because in today's world, even if spam inbox are still there, you'll notice that most of the time, emails are successfully sent. The only reason why it could be sent wrong or it did not successfully send is because you got the email address wrong. So when you send an email, there's a high chance that someone is going to receive it. And if they're not replying, it's because they're deliberately ignoring the email. So 1 to 2 days, I will give that as an excuse. I will forgive that. If you think that you can respond only later, then give them a expectation setting. May I get back to you by end of the week? May I get back to you by next week? That's better than zero response at all. Also, when you only respond 2 to 3 days later, or maybe even 4 days after the email, when you craft the email, instead of saying, I'm so sorry, I was busy. I'm so sorry, I was coming from another event. You don't need to let other people know what happened to you. Okay? You don't need to overshare. You don't also need to brag. Some people have a tendency to say, sorry, I was in an international conference. I'm sorry, I was in a 42-hour flight. Okay, I get that. Likely your out of office reply already said that. Okay? So instead of spending time on these things, instead say something like, thank you for patiently waiting. Okay? That's a graceful way to let the person know that you're acknowledging that you were not able to respond quickly. But here I am now, and I want to engage you. Okay? Can I get an exclamation mark? Are we cool with that? Is this something that you have already been applying in your line of work? I hope you guys are also. Okay? Let's answer another question, this time on TikTok. Josel Regino. Okay, this is not related to business writing, but let me answer this because this is a legal issue. What do you say about a company you're working for wherein the salary, the payroll is always delayed? Okay, please take note that in the Philippine labor law, may not be applicable. We have some folks watching from Malaysia and Dubai. I understand that. But in the Philippines, the law is that delaying of salaries is only allowed if there is mutual consent between the two parties. So the employee also agrees. Okay, that's the only time. Also, the Philippine law allows that if the salary is delayed, the employer can even offer the option to add interest for not being able to pay on time. Otherwise, it is not lawful that you are delaying the salaries without any permission from the employees. It could be a legal issue at the end of the day. So, what's my take on this? Well, unfortunately, it's a sign that the company has liquidity issues. It doesn't mean that the company is about to go bankrupt, although there is a possibility, but it is a red flag. And if it keeps on happening every month, month on month, my suggestion to you is to start asking your manager if they have an idea how is the financial status of the company. You might also want to start floating your resume, because it will not be surprising if this has been recurring for 3 or 6 months straight that the company is in financial trouble. Okay? Ooh, Jewelson is asking on LinkedIn, is it okay to use a red font color while indicating that you have been following up the email X number of times? Yeah, totally fine. I don't see wrong anything wrong with it. Here's one more effective way. Instead of indicating that you have been following up X number of time in the email, put it in the subject. That's more effective. I've noticed that it triggers people to act on it immediately, because many times, if they're not giving you the right attention, what makes you think they will even open the email? And therefore, they will even give attention to your red font. They may not even be able to see that at all. So I'd rather put fifth follow up, fourth follow up, third follow up. I will put that in the subject. It will be very alarming to all the audience members when they finally see that it's been the seventh follow up and no one is still answering it. You know when is that very effective? When I chase my clients who have not been paying us for a month or 2 months, I would put fourth follow up on payment. Okay, and usually it works. Not it doesn't happen to doesn't work for everyone, but it does work wonders for some. Okay, here's one more question. Leo, sorry, this is Leo from TikTok. How will I know if the person giving you an offer on LinkedIn is a legit person or an offer or a scam? Ask for a contract. That's it. Ask for a contract. Ask also for how do you call this? Ask for the person's email address, the official email address. Why? If the person is contacting you using Jonathan@babygirl123.com, so let's say, for example, someone's contacting you from Nestle, a well-known international organization, and they say that they're offering you a job. You have an idea when you look at LinkedIn that the employees of Nestle have the email address at nestle.com.ph or whatever that email address is. If they continue to talk to you using a different email address, it's a red flag that this person is scamming you. This is the reason why when you talk to someone via email, it's important to look at their corporate email address. It's one of the ways to find out that this person is really a representative of that company. It doesn't hurt to go to LinkedIn, search for the HR or recruiters, and check their email addresses if it's the same email address as this person talking to you. It doesn't also hurt if you look for the HR department folks on LinkedIn, because usually it's displayed publicly. Send them a private message and say, hey, someone has been contacting me saying that they come from this company. Is this also you? Okay. If you can take a phone call, get the mobile number, you can also do that. Okay. Okay, let's look at some more questions. Lori from Facebook. This one's a funny question. How do you respond to someone within the organization who is used to sending emails with bold letters and highlights to emphasize the point? I have already provided feedback twice, but it's still doing the same thing. You know what I would do? I will stop conversing with this person via email. I will pick up the phone and call them instead because it seems like you're going around circles. It is an indication that you guys are not understanding each other. So stop the cycle. Email is already not working for both of you. Call the person or set up a meeting and say something like, John, it's best to discuss this real time. I have other complex issues that are best discussed via a phone call instead of an email where we seem to be going back and forth. Okay? I want to emphasize this. Just because you're talking to someone on email does not mean that you have to continue the conversation via email. Sometimes certain emails need to be graduated into a phone call or into a meeting, or because it's casual, it's faster, do it instead via Viber or WhatsApp. Okay? I hope I was able to answer your question, Lori. May I request for an exclamation mark if you guys are learning so far? If you also are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, I will appreciate, or also on TikTok, if you can give us as many likes as you can. Okay? Facebook folks, you have to catch up. On TikTok, we have 3,400 likes. I'm only getting 48 likes here on Facebook. So please, I would love to get more likes from you. It will help us improve our algorithm. This is why my new favorite channel is now TikTok as well. Because we get more crowds. And our crowd is more engaging, by the way. We got lots of questions on TikTok. Okay. Quick and easy question from Boy Stranger on TikTok. Sir, who has more authority? Is it the head of the department or the HR in terms of assigning positions? Most of the time, the decision makers are the commercial managers. So whoever is the head of the department, from experience and from a structural point of view, they can supersede what HR says. Because likely the department head can escalate this to the vice president or to the president and to the CEO, and the HR reports to the CEO. Okay? How do you promote a healthy relationship with a stressful boss? Ooh, I can write a book about this, but at the top of my head, find something in common between the two of you and find a way that this boss also knows that you have that in common with them, because most of the time, the guards of people go lower if they found out that you enjoy the same food, the same music. So this is where the personal aspect of your relationship needs to be further deepened. Okay? That's one. Number two, I'm a big believer that people are just too busy to be mad at you. People are too busy with their own lives to spend extra energy to be stressed out with you. And most of the time, when bosses are stressed out with you, it's because you're not keeping up to the expectation. So try to ask, do a one-on-one conversation and say, I've noticed that whenever I do X, Y, and Z, your tone of voice or your face changes, and I would love to find out why, because I want to keep our relationship open. Okay? I know it's hard from a Filipino point of view that these conversations might be too awkward, but I'm going to be that advocate for everyone in this session. Sometimes you have no other choice but to confront, because your other option is to keep a silent treatment approach. And in a silent treatment approach, you lose. You continue the situation without doing anything about it. Okay? I'm going to flip the coin. I'm also going to be an advocate to say there are certain situations in life when maybe the solution is to keep a silent treatment approach. And when does that happen? You are fully aware that if you raise this issue with your boss, they will even get mad. Managers who are not open-minded to feedback, kapag nagsalita ka to them, pwede ka maging flavor of the month. Okay? So I'm going to be understanding here and say you have to play your cards well. And there is no definite rule of doing it. Right? Can I get an exclamation mark? Do you guys agree? Yes. I need to say this because some people, whenever I say something about confronting the manager, the number one feedback I always get on TikTok or Facebook is, but John, my manager's not like that. If that is the type of manager that you have, the solution may not be confronting. The solution may be a change in how you work, or worst case scenario when things do not exhaust, a change of environment, a change of company. And I want to also highlight this. Leaving your company is one of the most expensive things to do for your career. So if you're not doing well with your manager or a teammate, the solution does not always mean that you have to quit. If you can, exhaust moving instead to a different department, a different team, a same department, but maybe a different team leader. Sometimes that works. This way, you don't need to start from scratch. You just need to change your environment also. Okay? Whoa, we got lots of questions here. Sorry, I'm not able to answer all the questions here. But thank you. We appreciate all the enthusiasm. Okay, this is from Christopher on TikTok. Someone asked me to join her team of engineering. I want to, but I'm not sure if I can still be a good engineer. This is more of a philosophical answer. There are moments in life wherein the only way to find out is to make that leap. And have that confidence to make that leap, because there are many jobs in life wherein you only become better at the job if you continue doing the job. Case in point, a lot of people, their jobs were unrelated to their university degree. So when I was in marketing, I had lots of managers who finished philosophy, English literature, or chemistry. But in their job, they ended up knowing more because they were very passionate to learn more. And so they were able to take on the challenges of the job. Okay. Okay, let's answer more. Okay, I can only take 3 more questions. So I want to give away already some prizes. Can I get the letter R in the chat box? If you guys are ready for a prize, I hope you guys are. I am going to give away tickets to our upcoming workshop. And since we're talking about business writing, I want to give away tickets to our upcoming workshop in partnership with SMX Convention Center at SM Aura in Fort BGC. That is happening on April 29. So I'm displaying now for folks on, how do you call this? For folks on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You guys are seeing it now on your screen. That's April 29, 2 to 5 p.m. at SMX Convention Center in SM Aura. The workshop is for 3 hours. That's email etiquette and business writing. I want to give away 1 free ticket per platform. The ticket is worth 1,799 pesos, by the way. If you guys are ready, let me ask this question now. Let me look at the chat box. Okay, TikTok folks, can you please give me a letter R as well if you guys are ready? Okay, cool. So as usual, I ask a trivia question from our participants. And okay. And my question here, so let's talk about something that involves business writing. Okay. What do you call the punctuation mark that is the combination of a period and a comma? And this is usually used to make a light segregation of 2 separate ideas, but you want to put them in the same sentence. Or you want to put a pause, but you don't want to make it look like it's a period. Okay? I'm trying to look at the responses here. So people are, I'm seeing the response. Let me just look at I'm looking for my other phone. Okay, you guys are very quick. I'm seeing a lot of responses now. I'm seeing a lot of semicolons in the chat box. Okay, let's answer. I think I can have some answers now. Sorry, some winners now. Okay, so the correct answer is semicolon. My winner on Facebook. Sorry, guys, I had a 20-second pause because I had a quick hanging. My winner on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen, is Net Maranan. Congratulations, Net Maranan on Facebook. My winner on LinkedIn is Danny Carino. Danny Carino. And my winner on TikTok is, let me just, ooh, we got lots of answers on TikTok. My winner is, so the name is Lito Nugget. Congratulations, Lito Nugget. Okay. Congratulations to all our winners. Please send me a private message. We need to give you instructions on how you will claim your prizes. Again, that's email etiquette and business writing happening on April 29. That is next week. That is Saturday, 2 to 5 p.m. at Fort BGC SMX Convention Center. Thank you for all your responses. Okay, let's continue answering your questions now. Let me cover. Okay. Okay, let me answer it. This one's a quite interesting one. Sir, how do you approach an unprofessional environment dito sa aming BPO na parang kanto lang ang mga meetings? So in English, for folks who may not be from the Philippines, so it's a company wherein the culture of conducting meetings is not done professionally. I have two takes on this. Number one, it's hard to change a company culture overnight. And it's also hard to change a company culture alone. It will take months and years. It will also take multiple people. Likely, the reason why your fellow employees do not conduct meetings professionally is because the kinds of talent that were hired in your company, I think, are just not in your same league as your expectation. So I don't think you will be able to change it dramatically overnight. Okay, significantly overnight. So it's either one, you ride the tide. Sakyan mo lang. Okay? As much as you can, give your best during your meetings and enjoy whatever positive things there are with the company. Okay? So maybe there are other good things to enjoy in the company. It's just that they're not good in meetings. There are a lot of situations like this. Or the number two, if this is just one symptom and there's so much unprofessionalism in the rest of the organization, I will always easily say that this is a red flag that you might not be a good fit between you and the company. And so after 6 months or after 1 year, you may want to reconsider if this is where you want to keep on progressing and learning and spending your time. Okay. This is just me because I'm imposing my standards here. If the person interviewing me, such as the recruiter or the HR or the hiring manager, cannot even talk to me professionally during the job interview, I will not even continue or consider applying for the job. I will cancel my application. Because I think that recruiters, HR interviewers, hiring managers are one of the big and accurate representation of how it is to work in that company. And if you don't think that they're even competent, gosh, what more with the rest of your fellow colleagues who are in that new company? Okay, let's ask one more. What is your stand about maritime companies who only get straight mails? This will depend on countries' laws because there are certain countries wherein specific genders are not an issue when it comes to requirements, right? And because the company is owned by an organization based in that country, then they do have the right to do that. Sometimes you also have to understand that there are specific roles that likely are only capable to be accomplished by a specific gender. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm one of the most progressive guys that you can talk to, which means I do think that gender should not always decide what the person is capable of doing. But if you look at precedents in law and in courts, even genders themselves can be a predictor if someone will be able to get the job done or right. So uh, that's the reason why some companies are able to get away with it. Okay, let's look at some more. Okay, 𝗬𝗿𝗃𝗏𝗏 is asking, how would you respond to an interviewer who is asking about your political views during a job interview? Okay, two things. Before I will answer the question of the person, I will say, first and foremost, I do not think that my political view is a reflection of how well I will be able to perform in the company. I will also tell the recruiter, number two, and this is also protected in Philippine law, that any individual subjected to discrimination based on their political, religious, or whatever affinity, right, is not lawful, and that you have the right to present it also in court. But again, as we all know, what the law is different from how law is executed in reality. So for me, this is a red flag again. If someone asks my political view during the job interview, I will start asking, is this even a company worth applying for? Because if the company sanctions their recruiters to ask these questions, this is a representation of what could be inside that company. And it might be a toxic company at the end of the day. Okay. Jesslyn from Facebook is asking, I've been working with my company technically for 7 years. Okay, Jesslyn, here's a quick tip, by the way. You don't need to add the word technically, because when you say you're working with a company, it already stands on its own. I need to say that so that we can make our sentences shorter. And the shorter your sentence is, the easier will the person be able to read it. It will also give you lesser time to type. Okay? So you can say, I've been working with my company for 7 years. Okay? I'm saying this because in the spirit of business writing, one way to become a good professional writer is to delete your adverbs, especially when the sentence can stand on its own. Technically, actually, basically, assumingly, apparently, take these things out. They're unnecessary. It only adds doubt to your statements. Okay? But let's continue. I don't have any problem with my teammates, workload, manager. My working environment is good, and I do have work-life balance. However, I think it has come to a point where in my comfort zone and the salary or promotion is not that high. How do I deal with that? I'm trying to apply to other companies, but I'm hesitant and afraid that it will not be as good as my current one. I agree. So it can be a gamble, meaning if I move, will I be able to get the same things that I enjoy? It might be a different league. So my recommendation for you, Jesselyn, is have you ever talked to your manager? Have you ever, in your appraisal meetings, have you ever talked to her and say, what's next in my journey? Or say something like, I'd like to take on a more challenging role. Is there an opportunity? Is there a vacancy? Is there a new project that I can take on that can match my wishes and my intents to be outside my comfort zone? Because I want to be challenged. Okay? Is there a path in the organization that I can take for me to be promoted from becoming from being an associate to becoming a manager? Sometimes all you need to do is to ask these questions. And a good company will always be able to answer the questions immediately because it is part of their structure. Now, if they can't answer this because there are no plans at all, it's not part of their philosophy, again, this is where you might want to consider, have I outgrown my organization? So you have two options now. Be comfortable that everything is predictable in your company, but at the expense that you will not get anything else beyond it. Or number two, take the risk, because everything in life is a risk. It's a matter of calculating the risk. take the risk, move on to a different organization, and perhaps be rewarded because you took the risk that this organization has a lot of good things to offer, but also uh, it gives you better compensation. It gives you more challenging roles, etc. Okay? There is no other way of answering this question but just to say taking the risk is going to be difficult. There's going to be unpredictability, but such is life. So if you make a mistake that you went to the wrong company afterwards, as long as you think that you have an allowance to apply again to another company afterwards, you have the emotional bandwidth, you have some savings if in case you get unemployed because it may be hard to look for a new job immediately afterwards, then go. But if you're in a situation wherein you don't have much choice, you don't have enough savings, you don't think that you will be able to take on a new position because you have been in this company for too long and the company you're applying for does not have available vacancies for you, then you might need to wait. Or again, if you want new challenges in life, you don't need to climb a different mountain. You can stay in the same mountain but take a different route. So get transferred instead to a different team, to a different department, to a different boss, to a different project. Okay? All right, guys, I need to leave soon because I have dinner to attend and I need to bring my dog as well with me. So I have to prepare all of his diapers and towel and all these things in the car. Let me answer this one question on TikTok. Uh, okay, let me answer two questions because I think these are good questions. Ange is asking, if an employee has been terminated, is there a chance that they can be rehired again? Yes, it just depends on how HR likes you and what was the reason why you were terminated. Because if you were terminated for uh, reasons that involves ethics or morals, there's a very low chance that they will take you in. Okay, Angelo, come here. Do you want to pick the other? Do you want to pick the other question? Oh, you show naman your face to the camera. Okay. Hi everyone. He knows that that is the camera. He's just avoid. Oh, there you go. By the way, this dog is so smart. He knows where the camera is. He's just avoiding the gaze. Okay, Tanjiro, look at the camera. Look at the camera. Okay, let's answer this question on TikTok. I was transferred. Okay, Jim. I was transferred to another division that does not align with my expertise. Any thoughts? Jim, is it because you were forced? I will not take a new position if I know that I'm not comfortable with it. And a good company will never force you to take on a challenge if you think that it's not worth pursuing. But I think that unfortunately were trapped into doing that. Again, have a heart to heart talk with your manager. I strongly urge you to talk to them because if you're going to let this continue, you're going to be a zombie. You're just working because you need that paycheck, but you're not happy. And it will only be a matter of time until you tell to yourself, this is not for me. Okay? Have a heart to heart talk. Maybe your manager is open to upskilling you, training you, or considering that you're in the new position, but your projects are going to be revised. That's also a possibility. But these things will not happen if you don't talk to your boss, if you don't talk to your manager. Okay? All right. Team Gladiators in Suits, I really have to go. I know that this is quite short because we usually do our sessions for 1 hour, but I have to go because I do have some dinner plans and I need to leave soon. I'm gonna see you in the next live session. Okay, please let me know what's the topic that you'd like to talk about. I'll be very happy to consider them. And in the meantime, stay safe. Have a great 3-day weekend and continue learning and being a better version of yourself. Bye, guys.